Where do we stand now? 62 days away. We're bringing back the billboard. We're going to bring in Karl Rove in a moment here. We believe now the Electoral College map stands up like this. Hillary Clinton at 217, Donald Trump Republicans at 163, about a dozen battleground states. Here's Karl Rove, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff to President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. How you doing, my friend? Good morning to you. Got some stuff I want to go through. I know you're thinking about this night and day. If Trump's at 163 and a deficit to Clinton at 217 today, what does he need to do to win, Karl?
Well, first of all, he's got to play defense in Arizona and Georgia and North Carolina, all three which were carried by Mitt Romney in 2012. And he needs to win those states in order to have a shot at the White House. The most critical state, however, is Florida, because if Hillary Clinton carries the states that the Democrats have won in all 6 of the last presidential elections, plus Florida, then she has 271 Electoral College votes and is President of the United States. So Florida is the next is a critical state, the most critical state, if you will.
I'm going to come back to that in a moment here. I want to show you another thing that's coming up in, what is it? Is it 20 days from now? These are the debates, okay? Here's the schedule. You're in Hempstead. Hang on one second here, Karl. Let me bring this up and we can show our viewers how this thing works. Boom. Okay. September 26th, Hempstead, New York is #1. Then we move to the 9th of October on a Sunday night. That's in St. Louis, Missouri. Following 10 days later on 10/19 is Las Vegas. You have a vice presidential debate in the middle of all this on October the 4th. How do you see this one, Karl, debate #1 shaping up?
Well, I think this is going to be critical. Typically, debates don't have as big an impact as we might think they have. Absent the 1984 debates, where Reagan, as you recall, in the first couple of debates appeared to stumble and he began to drop in the polls. It was the third debate where he made the famous line against Walter Mondale that he wasn't going to use his opponent's youth and inexperience against him, and won the debate and recovered his numbers. Other than that, these debates have tended to be sort of reinforce the pattern that's already there. But we have a chance this year to have another 1984, it seems to me. These people are these are high stakes, and something could happen, particularly in the first debate, that upsets this race pretty dramatically. But normally debates don't. This debate could.
There's going to be intense analysis on that first debate in the next 3 weeks. I think you'd agree with that. You mentioned Florida. Here's where we are in Ohio right now. Clinton leads Trump by about 4 points. That poll seems to be tightening a little bit, too, in Ohio. And in Pennsylvania, she has a bigger average, just a real clear average when you throw all the polls together and put them in one pile. She seems to be up about 6.5 points over Pennsylvania. But you were taking us to Florida. How can you jump to Florida when you see numbers like this already?
Well, look, first of all, let's step back for just a minute. You're right. Let's use an average, real clear politics average. And what you're looking at in all these states is that this race has tightened since the 1st of August. We had a convention bounce for her. It was bigger for him than for her. She gained an advantage. In the real clear politics average, she was leading nationwide by, I think it was 7.1%. She's now, I think, at 3.3%. We've seen this happen in all the major states. And remember, the real clear politics average is a trailing measure, not a leading measure. That is to say, because it includes average of polls over, say, the last 2 weeks, it tends to show a little bit more of what has been as opposed to what's coming. Let's take Florida, for example.
Okay.
The most recent poll there shows, Mason-Dixon shows a 2-point lead for Clinton. But if you look at the other 2 polls there, one shows a 2-point lead for Trump, Florida Atlantic University, and a 1-point lead for Trump, the Florida Chamber of Commerce. But those are subsumed a little bit in the fact that they've got other earlier polls that showed a bigger lead for Hillary Clinton. So the race in Florida is relatively close. Same in Virginia, which was thought to be out of play.
All right, just one last thing then. That CNN poll that came out earlier today, he leads independents handily. And it appears that Republicans have come home. I think 92% of Democrats support her, 90% of Republicans in that polling support him. That seems to me that he's closed the loop on that.
Well, again, one poll, but yeah, the key thing that you're focused on there is independents. They have been highly variable in this race. They've been volatile, moving from one side to the other. Again, we ought to step back and take a look at the average of polls so you don't get misled by one outrider. But again, the pattern is this: since the end of July, the 1st of August, this race is tightened, and we are back to where we were as we went into the conventions in July. and we're likely to have a rocky couple of weeks here ahead, potentially with the debates being a big inflection point.
Yeah. I hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. Talk to you real soon.
I had
okay?
a great one.
Thank you, Karl.
Bill.